I'm Tova, and I started receiving the biomechanics work when I was about 15. The reason I came was that I had noticed, my mother had noticed that I had a really big bowed out area around my clavicle, and we actually thought that it might have been a swollen lymph node or something like that. Started seeing, doctors, and realized there was not anything wrong as far as my lymph nodes. It was just that my spine was off and that my clavicle bone was really protruding outward. So I did start receiving the work, and at that time we also realized that I had a fairly severe case of scoliosis. When I started receiving the treatments, I was surprised at just how non-painful it was. I was very scared. A teenager that doing any treatments for it. I heard about the braces, the back braces for scoliosis. Everybody knows about Forrest Gump kind of thing, and I had this really horrible vision of how is this going to get fixed, and everything was very light touch and just absolutely not painful at all, and I remember being very impressed by that. And the first session that I had was very successful. I remember that, like I said, my curve, my spine kind of curved and dotted this way and that way. And the very first session that I had, when we left, I remember, everybody in my family like, oh, bend over, wanting to look at my back. The first jog had completely straightened up, and the second jog, it was still there just a little bit, but definitely less noticeable. So it was a really successful session. I continued to come, and of course, when I started getting the treatments, I realized just how much motion I had lost. For example, if I wanted to turn my head this way, this was about as far as I could go without it being really painful. And so as I, had more sessions, I got my line of movement. I can go all the way with my head both ways. It's not painful. As well as the bump in my clavicle really went down. It's not perfect, but it's greatly improved. I don't have the back pain that I used to have, as far as just my shoulders would ache. I would have huge knots here, and then the pain would go up into my neck, kind of follow my ears up. I don't have that anymore. So for me, it's been a really successful form of treatment that is not invasive and not painful. As well as at the time when I did start the treatments, I was playing basketball for my high school team, and that was one of the things that it really enabled me to play the sport better. When I first started, like I said, I couldn't look to the left or the right very far without it just being, I just couldn't do it. It wasn't a matter of it was painful, it just wasn't even an option to look that way. And then of course, basketball, you're using your shoulders for everything to be even and whatnot. It's going to improve your performance. My shots were more on when I played basketball. Of course my back didn't hurt, so I had, more stamina in that kind of sense where, I go for playing for extended periods of time and practice in the games, and before I would get really, just my back would ache, I would be shooting and this whole arm was radiating pain down. And then once I started my treatments, that greatly improved. I could play the sport without being in pain from the sport. I just turned 24. I have continued the treatments. For regularly, I come about once every 6 months, and usually within that time frame, I try to come back once I start kind of feeling things tightening up. When I do come back for the treatments, I'm good for 6 months. I really am. I don't have the pains in my neck or my shoulders here. The spot sometimes will start to kind of get back to the way it was. That kind of sets things back in place. Overall, I usually feel very rejuvenated from the treatments, and it's something that I will continue most definitely for the rest of my life.